Hello, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Hello, I feel like it has been so long since I filmed, but I know that it hasn't. Oliver! Hi! So today we are doing a video that I'm actually really excited about. And on Twitter, somebody said that they thought this would be a cool idea, and I was like, you're absolutely right. So a couple of weeks ago, I did my $1,000 Sephora wish list, like what I would buy from Sephora if I just had a $1,000 gift card to there. And I thought that video was really fun. You guys seem to really like it. And somebody mentioned that I should maybe do this with indie brands. Like, what indie brands are on my wish list? What brands and things would I buy if I just had $1,000 to spend on indie brands? So basically I was given a Visa gift card for $1,000 and this is what I would purchase. Hi, it's editing me. I do just want to mention that both Butte Bean and Amy Loves Makeup also did this video like a month ago, and I wanted to give them a shout out as well because they also kind of came up with this idea and concept, and I think it's a really cool one. So definitely gonna link both of their videos below and definitely go check them out. They're both very awesome smaller creators that I love, so go check them out too. Okay. So I think this is a fun idea. I think it's a cool way to talk about some indie brands that I maybe haven't tried but I've been interested in, and yeah, I had to do a lot of math for this one, which was the only reason I didn't like this challenge, was because I had to calculate everything manually. Definitely could have messed it up at some point, so if the math is off by like hundreds of dollars, I don't do math at all. So the very first place that I decided to go when I was kind of online shopping was JD Glow. JD Glow is probably one of my favorite indie brands, specifically because of the JD Glow Galaxy Shadows. These Galaxy Shadows are so absolutely unreal. They're so good. They're beautiful, first of all. I already have like 6 or 7 of them and I'm absolutely obsessed with them. I think they're so good. And it's probably one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas. I think they're so hyper unique. Well, they have so much depth and texture to them. And while they are a little bit pricey, I think they're absolutely worth it. The only downside is they're always out of stock. I feel like they never, right now actually, when I went on, they had a decent amount of stock, but normally when I go on, they're out of stock for everything. That's always the only bummer, but I think because they are an indie brand, but they get a lot of hype from like YouTubers, I think that's why they're usually low on stock, because they can only come out with so much at a certain amount of time. I don't care. I think they're freaking great. So I loaded up my cart with these JD Glow shadows. I would want the Galaxy Shadow in Peacock, which is this kind of aqua peacock. It looks like a peacock basically. I think it's beautiful. I would want one in the shade Anomaly, which is a nice, deep, rich, royal purple that just looks perfection. I would want the shade Fairy Acid, which I've wanted for a very long time. I always like try to get it and they're always sold out. So this is the shade I would definitely want. I would also want the shade Unexpected, which I think is gorgeous. Kind of this like champagne-y pinky one. I think it's really pretty. And then I would also want the shade Secrets, which is a more silver, kind of holographic. It looked in the picture. You definitely have to look at multiple pictures because in some light, the shade will look one way and then in another light, it'll look completely different. They're very transformative shades. So to make sure you're getting the right undertones you want, make sure you look at multiple pictures. And then finally, I would want the shade Prismatic, which is this sort of emerald green. It kind of reminded me of like Elphaba from Wicked. And I loved that. So those are the shades that I would get from the Galaxy Shadows, but then I would also get 3 of their pressed powders, which is their highlighters. I've never tried the JD Glow highlighter formula, but I've heard that it's really good. A couple of my friends have them and really enjoy them, and I just have never bought them. They're really reasonably priced, so I'm not sure why, but they always kind of fly under the radar. And the 3 that I would have wanted were actually out of stock. So I would have wanted the pressed powder in Cold as Ice, which is this really nice icy pink. It looked like it had a little bit of maybe blue to it, but just a really nice white, almost icy type of pink that I thought was really cool. And then I really loved Synopsis. I don't know if I would ever realistically wear this, which is probably why I've never bought it. It's definitely more of a like crazy color, but it looks so cool. It's like purple to green. Synopsis seems like a very hypnotizing, beautiful shade that would definitely be a bit of a showstopper, which I personally think could be a lot of fun. Maybe not the most wearable or like usable one, but definitely the most fun. And then the other one I really liked was called Hey Daddy, and it I hate saying that out loud. It is a sort of, it looks like kind of to be a really gold silver shift almost. Kind of like a mixed metals one. It just looks absolutely beautiful. The color kind of reminded me of the MAC highlighter in Double Gleam is kind of what this reminded me of, where it has that little bit of shift to it, but it's kind of just a nice like white gold. And I think that would be awesome. So that is what I picked up from JD Glow, and that totaled in $94.50, which personally, I actually just counted it up. And I, if you count all together, got about 28 things from all these different indie stores. Whereas Sephora, I think I got 17 or 18. So definitely a lot more you can get. And I also would say for everything that I got, especially because I didn't use like a promo code or anything, which usually there is one, I would say that's a lot of stuff to get for $100. Maybe I'm crazy. So next we have from Give Me Glow, another glow brand. I actually just bought 2 of their palettes. I'm wearing one on my eyes today, actually. I'm wearing the, what is it called? Summer Fun. I can't get this drawer open. I'm wearing one of their palettes on my eyes today, and I just did a talktorial with their Vintage Rose palette, and I loved the formula. I was obsessed with the formula. The mattes blended so beautifully. The shimmers are gorgeous. I will say there's definitely some fallout with the shimmers, so just if you're thinking about buying from them, just be cautious with that if you hate glitter fallout. Personally, I don't care. So I was really excited to try something from them again, and I decided it could be kind of fun. Okay, hear me out. I know I'm not the biggest green person. Like, I don't wear a lot of green. I'm kind of scared of the color green a little bit with eyeshadow, especially just because it seems just so not me. But I think that their Juicy Olive palette is beautiful. Like, I think that's so pretty. The reason I haven't bought it is because I do know realistically that I probably wouldn't wear it that much. And even though I love how grungy it is and how green, and it's only 6 pans, so I don't feel like it would be a huge waste like getting one of those big grungy green palettes like the Melt ones. And I like the formula, but I do know realistically this probably would not get used that often simply because I don't reach for grungy green tones very often. I very much fall in the like pink and purple range. So that's the reason I didn't end up ever getting this and probably won't get it. But again, if I had just like $1,000 fun money to spend and I didn't have to worry about that, I would definitely pick this up. And then the other thing I would pick up, which is actually being discontinued, which I'm sad about, but is their Frosted Gingerbread Cookie Highlighter. I know the Give Me Glow has highlighters. I have one of the biggest pieces of makeup I've ever bought size-wise, and that is a gigantic highlighter palette from Give Me Glow. The reason I bought that was because I love their highlighter formula so much. It is unreal. It's beaming, it's glowing. It's like, if you want that beaming glow, that's gonna be the Give Me Glow highlighters. Probably one of my favorite highlighter formulas, if I'm being quite honest, for a very blinding glow, something that's super ultra sparkly. And they also have a really good variety of colors, especially in that particular palette. I can use most of them, but they do have a good range of like light to medium to deep, and I think that's awesome. So I saw this and I was really interested because it has a little bit of that marbled look to it that sometimes highlighters have, where they mix a couple of different colors, and I always like those. I don't know why. I think something about mixing 2 different tones usually works pretty well on my skin tone. So this is in their Frosted Gingerbread Cookie. I'm assuming it's from like a holiday collection or something, and that's why it's being discontinued. But I think this looks super cute, so I threw it in my cart. This was a little bit unexpected, but I was like, let's see if I already have basically all their highlighters. I was like, let's see if I can find another one. And I found this, and I was very excited about that. So my total at Give Me Glow Cosmetics ring up to $47.25. Next, I popped over to Sydney Grace Cosmetics, which I've actually been meaning to try for a long time. My friend Jen, who also has a YouTube channel, Jen Loves Reviews, came over to my house I think it was last summer. Was it last summer? I think it was. Might have been last summer, which feels so weird that we just like, I don't know, could meet in person. But I met Jen, and she had a bunch of Sydney Grace eyeshadows with her, and I got the pleasure of swatching them and kind of playing with them, and they are beautiful. I knew I liked the duochromes. I knew I liked the shadows, so I've always kind of been interested, but it's one of those brands I just never really went for it. So I do know that Mel Thompson just did a collab with Sydney Grace, and so that is what I was interested in, is the Tiny Marvels palette by Mel Thompson. Realistically, I'm gonna buy this. First of all, I love supporting other creators, one of my favorite things to do. And second of all, I actually think it's a really cool palette. I like the color story to this. I like the tones. I love the packaging idea. I love everything behind it. I think it's on back order right now, but I definitely am gonna pick this up and like buy this, but I also wanted to put it in the video. But I'm really excited for Mel. I think she did a fantastic job designing something that I haven't seen before. And I think that is really difficult in makeup nowadays. I think because there's so much out there, it's hard to look at a palette and be like, never seen anything like you before. And I think she achieved that with this. I've never really seen anything. Sure, you could pinpoint certain colors and compare them, but as far as color story as a whole, I don't see a lot of palettes that look like this. And so I think that's really cool. I really commend her. And this would absolutely is going to be and would be on my list of things to buy because I think that's really cool. So that cost me 52 doll hairs. Okay, next I went to Her Mannerisms, and a big reason I wanted to try this, a big inspiration for a lot of this is actually my friend Lacey from Spooky Lips and Fat Hips. She is like the queen of indie makeup, and she really, really is so good at supporting smaller brands, buying from them, testing things out, giving reviews. And so the only reason I actually know about Her Mannerisms is because of Lacey. So I was super interested in trying out their Lucid Dream Shift powders. I am not the biggest fan of loose pigments or loose powders or loose glitters, anything like that. I have a ton of them, but I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of them just because they're a little bit messy and a little bit difficult to work with. If I have time to like sit down and just purely play with makeup, not for like a video or not for, you know, going out, like I will happily play with my loose pigments and stuff. I have some neon pigments that I really like to play around with, but I get a little nervous to do that before I film because I do have to sit in front of a camera and have people look at me. And also I get kind of nervous before I go out because I don't want to look too crazy. So I do think I'm always a little hesitant, and I think it's one of those things that I just kind of practice with right now. I don't feel fully confident playing with them yet in person or anything, but I practice. So this I think would be fun to practice with. They're basically duochromes, and I wanted to get it in the shades Sweet Dreams and Nebula. Both of these shades just look absolutely stunning. They only had 3 shades, and I kind of thought about getting all 3, but then I was like, I think you're just getting all 3 because you can. So even in my imaginary shopping spree, I'm still trying to think critically. I realistically wouldn't have worn one of the shades literally ever, whereas these 2 shades, I can absolutely see myself playing around with them, using them, utilizing them. So I was really excited about that. And I also think it'd be cool to like try a brand I've actually never tried before. So that is, or like even really seen. So the total for this was $31.98. Okay, this is an oldie. This is an old palette. This has been around for a long time since I have been on YouTube. I remember being at like 4,000 subscribers pining after this palette. I've wanted it for so long and I don't know why I've never got it. I think it's because realistically I know that I'm really probably not going to use it that often. I'm probably not going to reach for it. It's definitely a color scheme that I don't naturally gravitate towards that often. I think that's one thing about doing YouTube that's kind of interesting is I definitely have certain color schemes that I gravitate a lot more towards simply because I know that they look good on camera and I know that I look good in them, so it's easy for me to pull off a look and then like come on camera. Whereas like when I do color schemes I'm not as comfortable with or don't know as well, it does kind of make you a little less creative unless it's like a tutorial, but because I don't really care in those, I'll do whatever. But for day-to-day videos, I don't want to come on camera trying to talk about something serious and everybody's like, your makeup looks like crap, so I can't listen to you. So I feel like that's a weird thing about YouTube, but anyway, I've always wanted the Creepy Cute palette from Shroud Cosmetics. Always. I don't know. Something about this palette has always stuck with me in the sense that I think it's just so creepy and cute. Yeah, I think it's so cute. I've always seen, I remember Georgia had this palette. I feel like this is such a cute palette. It's got such a fun color story to it. I feel like you could create some really fun looks with some really fun pops of color. I think the reason I especially didn't buy this when it first was big and really popular on YouTube is because it really didn't have any sort of neutrals, at least neutrals I would have been comfortable with. And so I always felt like, okay, it doesn't have like a matte brown that I would, as if I didn't have a million of them that I could like put in the crease. So I don't know how I would work with this, but now I think because I do play with color a little bit more, I probably would get more use out of it. I don't know. It's $35, which is a pretty decent amount of money considering it's 8 shadows, but this palette has always just spoken to me. And again, was one of the first things I thought of when I was going about doing this challenge. So Creepy Cute palette. Next, this is a brand I've never tried before, but I know that a bunch of my friends have this palette and it makes me want it so bad. So Likely Makeup has these 2 palettes. They're blush palettes. One is called Clown Palette and one is called the Fairy Palette. The Clown Palette has a yellow blush in it. I am so interested in that. Do I think it would look kind of stupid because I have more red undertones? Absolutely. Do I still want to try it? absolutely. I think a yellow blush, the concept of that is just so fun to me, something about that. And I could see myself pairing it with my yellow highlight from Kaleidos that looks like actual sunshine on your face. So I could see those two pairing nicely together. And it also has just other kind of more fun, more regular blushy ones, blushy tones, like it has a bright pink, all of those things. Also, I was really just going to this website to get the clown blush palette, but then I saw the fairy blush palette and I was like, hold on the phone, this is adorable too. It's got like a green blush. Would I ever realistically wear that? Only in my dreams, but no, I think it would just be, again, I think the cool thing about indie makeup is I think it's very, not all indie makeup, but I think a lot of these brands, especially ones that have kind of hyper specific aesthetics like this, I love that they just enhance creativity. Like that's what it's all about for them. It's just completely and purely be as creative as you want, like be as unconventional as you want. Wear a green or royal purple blush, like do the thing. And I think that something about that is so cool and fun because realistically, you know, more mainstream makeup brands, they don't really take as many risks as that. And I think that's probably because they have to order tons of inventory and it's probably a numbers game of who's gonna buy it and who's not. And that's what I think is kind of cool about indie brands is they can kind of just do whatever they want. They just go for it. The creativity in indie brands is amazing, and I think these two blush palettes really show that. So I was obsessed with these, and I decided to pick up both of them. And again, these might actually be some that I do end up picking up in the future, because I think this is such a cool concept. It was very hard for me to not just buy certain things, especially in this one, even harder than with Sephora. And the total for this would have been $46 for the two blush palettes. Okay, next. Next, I went to Lethal Cosmetics, which I do have a palette from Lethal, and it's because my very good friend Georgia Harris, who is starting stuff on her channel again, she just did a bunch of live streams talking about her old content that I think are just a quick plug for my friend. I think they're actually really cool and eye-opening and awesome to see a YouTuber be so candid about what it's like to actually do YouTube. So if you want to go check out Georgia, I would highly recommend her channel. I'll link her down below. She's one of my good friends here on YouTube, and we did a sort of like Secret Santa, and she made me a custom Lethal palette, which was all pinks and purples, and it was gorgeous. I have a tutorial on it that I'll link below as well. But I loved the Lethal formula. I thought it was unreal, like absolutely stunning formula. It was so, so pretty. Everything blended so effortlessly, and the mattes are stunning. So this is the After Dark palette I saw that I think is really fun. It's got a lot of pops of colors. I wanted to try their colorful stuff because I think that's a really good tell of a brand's formula is how good their pops of color are, especially for a brand like Lethal. So I wanted to try their more pops of color, their more crazy colors. I really have kind of cut down on rainbow palettes. The only ones I really have anymore are from Colored Rain, which is one of the best rainbow palettes of all time. And I still have the James Charles palette, so I do have that. But this one looked cool because it was rainbow, but not rainbow. Does that make sense? I feel like the pinks and the blues and the greens, but I felt like they were slightly different tones than a standard just like Roy G. Biv palette, which I thought was kind of cool. I was vibing with this palette. I also high-key feel like the black packaging was such a good choice. I feel like black packaging against color just pops so nicely. It looks so good. And then also I've heard really good things about the Lethal Cosmetics glosses. So I did pick up their more peachy gloss in Everything. And then I also picked up this gloss that I thought was so fun. It's like a deep blood red kind of purple tone. It's so pretty. And it got me, I was kind of browsing and it got me in fall vibes. I was like, this is something I would want to wear in the fall. I've been loving summer purely just because I've been loving getting to wear lip gloss all the time. If I could have a vampy dark red lip gloss, that would be like everything. So I did pick up that as well. And that made my total $90. Okay, next I had to go to Linda Hallberg Cosmetics, and mainly because I have wanted the Metallic Mysteries 2 palette since I first laid eyes on it. I am obsessed with the Linda Hallberg Cosmetics eyeshadow quads. I think they are perfect. I think they're so perfect. They're so pretty. I am obsessed with the idea of small palettes that are just incredible, transformative shimmer shades. I am obsessed with it. I think it's the best. It reminds, ever since I got the Kaja bento boxes, I am like obsessed with small things that are just glitter and pretty. Like I think it's so fun. So that's why I'm obsessed with these, because they are stunning, especially the first one, the Metallic Mysteries 2, which is a very Christmas themed palette, but I think it came out, I think it was their Christmas release like 2 years ago or a year ago. I can't remember the exact time frame, but this is a beautiful palette. Like this seems stunning. I'm in love with this palette, and same thing with the Enchanted Mysteries palette, the first one with the green. Okay. Now the reason I haven't bought these is because it is $60 a quad, which is frankly too much money. But if I had $1,000, I would absolutely get these in like a heartbeat. That would be one of the first, this again would be like one of the first things I would go to get. I've always loved these. I just think they're so pretty, and I've heard such good things about the formula. Oh, these are so pretty. It's making me sad to look at them. But that made my total, that was $118 for these two things, which is a lot, but they're very pretty. So I'm just saying. Okay, so next is from a brand called Nomad. And again, this is just kind of a brand that I've heard about through the small makeup community. I've seen a lot of my friends try this stuff. I've seen a lot of smaller creators try this stuff, so I was really interested in it. So I actually picked up a bunch of things from Nomad because their palettes were so interesting to me. The color stories, I was super drawn to all of them. Okay, so this is the Nomad x Tokyo Harajuku Intense Eyeshadow Palette. I just think this is cool. Again, I really love, kind of reminds me of the Mel Thompson palette, how I don't see a ton of eyeshadows that look like this. The only thing that threw me off a little bit was there were some shades in here that do look a tad repetitive. I think what's actually happening is they're not really repetitive. It's just like one is a matte and one is a shimmer of similar tones. So if that were the case, I think that would also be awesome. I just thought in general this palette was super, super pretty. It kind of gave me Eastery vibes too, which was kind of fun. I felt like you could kind of do an Easter vibe of like kind of light, pretty colors, pastel-y colors, but it also had some nice deep tones to them, so you could kind of bring some depth to that pastel. I'm kind of over all pastel palettes in general, just because I don't like them. And then I also wanted to pick up the Nomad x California Encinitas and Malibu Surf Shack eyeshadow palette duo. So this was two quads that I just, again, think they're super cool, super drawn to them. I especially love the more brown to green one, because I just think you could do a really, really simple, pretty brown look and then do that pop of green to just emphasize it. My big thing lately that I've been loving doing is pops on the lower lash line. I know I'm like 3 years late to that trend, but I just think it's so fun, and it makes a look just slightly elevated, slightly different. It makes it just a little bit less kind of basic eyeshadow look. And I, again, also thought that the blue, pink, brown one, I thought that was really pretty, because again, you could do a really simple, basic pinky brown on the top and then pop that blue. So I was very excited about that one. And then the other one I got was the Nomad x New York City Studio 54 Disco Shadow Palette. I just thought these were beautiful. Like, again, I just, as I said before, I'm becoming high-key obsessed with just all shimmer palettes. I think they're so fun, and I thought this would be really cool to have. I don't have a lot of shimmery blues, and I know for a fact I don't have anything like that really, really shimmery yellow. So I do, while I have the purple, I thought 3 of the shadows were unique enough that that would be something interesting to kind of grab. So picked up that. And my total for this came to $90. Really, I went to Clionadh Cosmetics too late, because that, as I was shopping, I was like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to try the Clionadh Cosmetics stained glass collection, like always, because I've seen so many people try it and it just looks so beautiful and gorgeous, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna add that to the cart. It's $440, which I'm not shading. Like, if that is the price that people are willing to pay and that is the price they see fit, more power to ya. I did not have enough money left to spend $440 on Clionadh Cosmetics. So I went for the next best thing. I did get, for a set of 6 of their palettes, was $140. I do think this is Canadian too, so it's probably a slightly different to the US, but I'm just gonna go with the Canadian numbers to make things easy. I'm very bad at math. So let's just pretend I used NordVPN and now I'm a Canadian for a minute. So I did get the rainbow set of 6 because I thought that would be a kind of good summary of the stained glass palette, because I felt like this particularly kind of highlighted all of the different ones, but just in a smaller bundle. So I was super excited about that because it was tons of like jewel tones. It was just gorgeous. Like, these shadows are gorgeous. And then I also saw that they had an Aftershock 8 shade bundle that was a similar formula to their stained glass collection, but was definitely more like pastel-y, very Easter-y, very spring, very nice, fun, light, airy vibes, like music festival vibes. So I was also all about this. I loved the fact that I could get more jewel tones and something a little bit more deep and rich, and then also in the same place get these like super light, airy Easter bunny style shades. So I really liked both of these sets, so I ended up getting both, and it ended up costing me $250 Canadian. I texted my friends. I was like, is that the right price? It felt very high. I'm not trying to shade Cleona because I've heard that their stuff is unreal, but like I would imagine it's probably worth it. But that just seems like, for me at least, so much. Okay, the final thing that I did was I made my very own sugar pill palette. I have wanted to do this for years. Since I really started doing YouTube, I've wanted to make my own sugar pill palette and buy one. The reason I haven't is, well, first of all, I couldn't afford to do it because it's like how much did it come to? It was like literally $140. So it was $140 to do, which is a lot of money for an eyeshadow palette. And now, even though I technically could afford to do it, I think the real reason I always wanted to do this was really just because everybody else did it. Like, I feel like all other YouTubers had these sugar pill palettes and and talked about how it was an investment, but it was so worth it. Like, they absolutely loved them and they're the best mattes on the planet. And while I believe that's probably true, I don't think they were like lying about the quality. I just think for me, even making this palette, I was like, man, I would not pay $120 for this. While they look really pretty, they're not colors that I can't find in other places. It's not like the JD Glow shimmers that are so unique and different. Like, at the end of the day, these are kind of just matte eyeshadows. So even if they're really pretty matte eyeshadows, they're still just matte eyeshadows. And I also think I never really wanted it because I wanted it. I wanted it because everybody else had one. And I thought that that would be like a legit thing. It would legitimize me doing makeup to buy this super expensive thing. So I think that's why I never bought it. And I think that's probably why I won't buy it, honestly, because it's still a ton of money for an eyeshadow palette. And realistically, I'll probably use it, but I don't think it's as like life-changing as I once thought. So I did pick the shades Bulletproof, Text Me, Kimchi, Hypnotic, Arsenic, Bitter Melon, Mochi, Flame Point, Wink, Butter Cupcake, Valoria, Suburbia. And then I also had to add the like build your own palette that it comes in. And that came to $140. And if my math is right, that was about $974. But yeah, that's pretty much what I would buy if I had $1,000 to just spend on indie makeup. Some of this stuff you're probably gonna see in the next couple months because the more I put it in my cart and like looked at it, the more I wanted it. And some of this stuff, I think there's probably a reason I haven't bought it yet. But again, if I had like free money, why not? Go for it. I would absolutely love to know down below what you guys would do with $1,000 at any of these indie brands. Like, what would you want to buy? What would be your first picks? I just think I loved seeing that at the Sephora wishlist video, was getting to see everything that you guys would actually buy. I think that's so fun. And so I would love to see it for this. And I'd love to learn about any new indie brands that you like, maybe I don't know about. I probably don't know about a lot of them. So yeah, that's gonna be it for me, you guys. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, or just subscribe, or do neither. Honestly, just so happy you're watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My merch, my social media, and everything I am wearing on my face will be linked down below, along with a link to register to vote. That's right, you can click on that link, you can register to vote, and you will be part of a democracy. It's a super fun thing to do. And along with that will be my little social justice spotlight, just important, you know, petitions to sign, things to look out for, places to donate. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!